Soviet occupation, not exactly during the state socialist times, so after the Second World War until the change of regime, but in 1918 there was a short attempt of establishing communism in Hungary already, but it just ended in a so-called red terror. So people were murdering each other over these political ideas, and that's what this is commemorating. It has an interesting history since it was erected during the time of Horthy, who was a very right-wing, quite nationalist leader of Hungary. I mean, foreigner is nationalist as Hitler, for example, but still he was the one, for example, who shook his hands and vandalized with him. Um, and then came the Second World War. It survived the Second World War, but then came the Soviets, and they took it down, destroyed it, and it was only re-erected 2 years ago, as you can see the date there also in 2019, for the 100th anniversary of the end of that first attempt of communism in Hungary. Before that, there was a statue of a Prime Minister of Hungary here, Imre Nagy, who was the Prime Minister during the Revolution of 1956, who was not an anti-communist. He was a very faithful communist, but he believed that communism can be democratic and fair to the people, and Hungary still can be a free country, independent country, as a communist country also. So his statue was moved a little bit further up the river, and they re-erected this other one in its place again. It struck a lot of political debates as it was right before, and they've done it already. Watch out here, please. There's a bike path right next to us. And then there are trams also. Both vehicles are dangerous because they have policies. So we don't need them coming. And then we have to see. Although they started to have the meetings of the parliament here in 1896 already, they were so determined that for the 1000th birthday of the country, they have to start to use it. I imagine how exactly the was their meetings here while there was still the construction going on around them. And the other problem was that they wanted to make it from 100% Hungarian material. Eventually, it became 99% Hungarian material because the King of Sweden gave us four marble pillars that are in the lobby. But the Hungarian limestone, although we have nice white limestone, it's quite a soft, porous kind of stone. And yeah, watch out for the turn. The pollution, it started to turn it black really quickly. So for about 60, 70 years, they were constantly cleaning the parliament. You know, by the time they finished one side, they had to start over with the other side again. And one side was always scaffolded, but then they changed every single stone on the outside of the parliament to something a little bit harder, more resistant. So now, hopefully, for quite a long time, they won't have to scaffold it up and change it again. There's a Hungarian flag, red, white, and green. There's another Hungarian flag with a hole in the middle that we put up for the 23rd of October because during this revolution against the Soviet rule, there used to be a hammer and a sickle, the symbol of communism, in the middle of our flag. They ripped it out to show our independence. And the blue, yellow, blue flag, that's the Szekler flag. That's a Hungarian-speaking ethnic minority who lives in Transylvania. Transylvania was part of Hungary until the First World War. That's when we lost it to Romania. And some political parties still fight for the autonomy of Transylvania. That's also quite a complicated political question. So the parliament, it's beautiful, it's huge, right? I like to say it's so big because this is how much faith we had in democracy back in the 19th century when we built it. But we might just want it to show up of also. But there was a big competition between architects who should build it, and of course this is the first place winner of the competition. But the second and third place winner were also built. There's this building and the one next to it that used to be and will be again the High Court of Hungary, the Supreme Court. And this building, it was and is the Ministry of Agriculture, although now they are emptying the building because they are doing some big renovations with it also. It already had to be renovated big time because it was shed basically into pieces, especially this corner here, which you can see some commemoration of on the wall. The revolution in 1956 started on the 23rd of October, but that was quite peaceful. There were a few incidents with guns involved, but for about 2 days there were mainly peaceful demonstrations. And Imre Nagy, the prime minister, announced that he supports the claims of the people, and he started to speak on the radio. So on the 25th of October, people came here in front of the parliament. It was a huge demonstration, about 50,000 people, they say, demanding Imre Nagy to speak further, how it will happen, us quitting the Soviet rule and so on. And suddenly two tanks arrived from the two sides of the square and started to fire into the crowd. They killed at least 100 people within a few minutes, and there were a lot of bullet marks and such on the building here, which they didn't cover up all. To commemorate these victims, they put these big iron bullets into the halls to emphasize them and to commemorate them. On the side, there is always also a sign that tells you that this was the Bloody Thursday on the 25th of October. Okay, so there are a lot of things commemorated here in many ways. I don't have time now to speak about all of them, but absolutely come here and walk around the square. There's also a change of guards here sometimes. There's a statue of a great freedom fighter from the 18th century, Rákóczi. Please don't mistake him for Rákosi, the Hungarian Stalin. There's one tiny letter difference between their names, and sometimes when I tell people about Hungarian communistic dictatorship and how horrible Rákosi was, then they ask, why did we name that main street in the middle of Budapest after him? No, that's Rákóczi, the freedom fighter it was named after. Okay? So don't mix them up, please. But now we're gonna walk back towards the hotel on the street of Hungarian Constitution. Okay? And of course, feel free to take pictures in the meantime. Here you can also see the Hilton and the Matthias Church and the Fisherman's Bastion on the top of the Buda Castle Hill. It's an easy 10-minute walk to the top of the hill. You can cross the river. It's not that easy right now to cross because the chain bridge that connects the middle of the city towards the castle is here. So there's a boat that's taking you from one end of the bridge to the other end of the bridge. That's 500 points to use. Or if you have a pass for Budapest, if you live here, public transport pass, you can use it with that also. Or you have to go around on the further bridges, but that can be quite a detour. Or you can take the red metro line. There's a stop of the red metro line in the corner here, next to the parliament. One stop under the river, and from the Batyány Square you can also walk up quite easily to the Castle Hill. Or You go until the steel tower,
Aha, 40 kg.
and from there there's the bus number 16 that also takes you up. The river Danube here. That way. So it's down in the inner part.